My house essentially dropped $100,000 overnight. I'll share with you my experience of when I bought my first home at the peak of the market in 2017. Buying real estate is a stressful time. It is a huge investment, it's a lot of money, and if you're like me, all of your life savings. The market can change on a dime, and that can cause a lot of anxiety. I'm going to share with you what I learned and what I would do differently. I'm Stephen Holt, a realtor serving Mississauga and the West GTA, and here's my first home buying story. It was April of 2017 when I bought my first home. This was my 7th year in real estate, and finally I saved enough money to buy my first home. Being self-employed, I have to plan for my own retirement. I don't have a pension, I don't have health benefits. My plan was to buy this for retirement, rent it out, and get the mortgage paid off, and by the time I'm ready to retire, the mortgage would have been paid off and all of that rental income is now passive income. Leading up to that point, the market was going nuts, kind of like this year. In January, the prices started soaring. It went up 22%. Then in February, 27%. And then in March, it went up 33% year over year. FOMO started kicking in. I had the fear of missing out that I would never be able to buy property. If I don't buy it now, I'm never going to be able to afford to buy anything. I just wanted to get into the market. My budget was around $600,000 and I was deciding where I should buy. Do I buy a condo in Mississauga to be close to where I'm living? Or do I go further out and get something without maintenance fees? I just didn't want to pay a maintenance fee and have that eat into my monthly cash flow. So I started looking further out. I started looking in the Stony Creek area because I could get a freehold townhome. There were a few options and I found this 10-year-old end unit, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, freehold townhome with a decent sized backyard, side yard, fully fenced, had a garage, double driveway, and it also had an unfinished basement. This seemed like a perfect house for a young family trying to raise their family. Resale value? Check. There was 10 offers on this property. I went hard into the paint. I had a deposit check in hand. I went in with no conditions. I wrote a letter to the seller. I even showed up in person to the offer. I did the whole dog and pony show. I used every trick that I knew in the book, and we ended up winning the bid. Got it for $603,000 because all I do is win. So now I'm freaking out. I'm ecstatic. I'm now a homeowner. The next second, I'm panicking. I have no money, I am broke, and I have no rainy day fund. The next second, I'm proud that I'm adulting and I'm preparing for my future. The next second, I'm freaking out. I am second guessing my purchase. I'm second guessing what I paid for it, that I overpaid. All the fears and questions started pouring in. What if I can't find a tenant? What if I can't afford to keep the house? What if? I had to keep my emotions in check and just stick with the plan. Watch to the end. I'm going to share with you 3 things that I learned through this process and maybe what I would do differently if I were to do this again. Closing was in May, about a month from when I actually wrote the offer. And now that I get the keys, the next step, I need to find a tenant. Rental rates seemed pretty good for the area, even though it was going to be a couple $100 negative cash flow per month. For me, that didn't really matter because I didn't really need the cash flow. In fact, it actually was better for me in terms of income tax purposes. I just told myself I don't need the cash flow, I need it for retirement. I figured rental rates and property values are going to continue to go up over the next 15, 20, 25 years. So I didn't mind taking that cash flow hit until the rental rates caught up to my monthly costs. Otherwise, if I wanted positive cash flow, I would have to look even further and further out to find that property. I put it up on Kijiji and found a tenant to move in for June 1st. Pretty sweet. We're all good. Everything is going according to plan and we are set. So here's the timeline. I bought this house April 18th, 2017. And then the Ontario Fair Housing Plan came on April 20th, 2017. 2 days after I bought the house, the government of Ontario announced the non-resident speculation tax, aka foreign buyer tax. The housing market was so hot up until that point that Ontario had to follow what Vancouver did and taxed non-resident buyers 15%. And then the markets reacted. The Ontario Fair Housing Plan caused the markets to drop 19% by July. I couldn't help but be curious of how much the houses in the area are selling for now. Other houses with finished basements were selling for low $500,000. My house essentially dropped $100,000 overnight. But this didn't really make sense to me. Foreign buyers only accounted for at most 5% in the GTA. Compared to Vancouver, which was closer to 13-15%, this didn't really make sense. Nonetheless, the market was spooked. All the buyers were taking a wait and see approach, and the markets reacted. I had a knot in my stomach knowing that I lost $100,000 within weeks of getting the house. I had to check myself before I wrecked myself. I reminded myself this is a long-term plan. From the history of Canadian real estate, in the long term, the prices have gone up and has done well for many people. Tenants were doing fine. This is a long-term plan for me. So I just had to remind myself, don't worry about it. Just stick to the plan and stick with it. Sometimes emotions can get in the way of our plans. Fast forward to 2021, 4 years later, homes on the street are now selling for $850,000. Now at the peak of 2022, earlier this year, the neighbor next to us, not an end unit, sold for $950,000. Now the prices have come back down again. The houses on the street are probably worth in the mid 800s now. I'm still up $200,000, but I wonder how much this house is going to be worth in about 15 years. Let me know what you think in the comments below. There's going to be ups and downs in any market. In real estate, there's going to be ups and downs. All we can do is stick to our plan. Besides, who can predict government intervention? Here's what I learned in this process. I had a good grasp of real estate investing, helping so many different clients. But it's a little bit different when it's your own because emotions come into play. So if I were to do this again, I would probably get something closer to where I live because of all the maintenance that's required. I would not buy because of FOMO, the fear of missing out. I would buy if the numbers made sense or if my needs changed. And as an investment, I would have bought based on the opportunities I saw versus buying based on not having maintenance. At 10 years old, it's about time in the next few years that things needed to be replaced. So I had to replace the roof, the furnace, the AC within the 2 years that I got the property. Now looking back, even though I bought this townhome in Stoney Creek, it has grown more than if I were to have bought a condo in Mississauga. If I could go back and if I had more money or if I could have afforded to buy a freehold in Oakville, Mississauga, or even Milton, those homes would have grown even more than the one in Stoney Creek. Location does matter, so I probably should have put more significance on where I bought. I mean, shoulda, coulda, woulda, doesn't really matter. The key point here is real estate is a long-term investment. Don't treat it like day trading. Moral of the story is get into the market when you can. Buy what you're comfortable with and stick to your plan. Again, real estate is a long-term investment vehicle. Any property is better than no property. For daily real estate updates, tips, and opportunities, follow us on Instagram at Mr_Sauga. Hope you enjoyed listening to my first time home buying story. Let me know about yours in the comments below. And if you have any questions about buying your first property, book a free call with me in the Calendly link below in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.